Hello and welcome to Future Baroque Music. This is the creative synthesizer songwriting series. We're going to learn to use a bunch of technological tools as sonic stepping stones to reach greater heights of personal freedom, of creativity. It's going to be great. I'm your host, Beryl Bach, prototypical elder millennial, synthesizer nerd, guitar player, sound guy, hockey playing dad from East Vancouver. We're going to have a lot of fun. If you're a beginner to digital music tools or an established professional just looking for some more inspiration or creative strategies, this is the place. I've broken down this ethos and my whole approach to digital music songwriting into 10 videos you can watch in any order, whatever interests you, or go sequentially for the whole shebang. They are as follows. Episode 1. This video itself. In episode 2, we'll talk about gear. Now, I want to say that gear is less important than you think it is. Whether you have the same or different pieces of equipment, it doesn't actually matter. You too can follow the Future Baroque method. If you have 4, 6, or 8 tracks of MIDI sequencing, some sound generators, maybe a delay, reverb, a filter, and some way of mixing it all together and blasting it out, you can pretty much follow along one-to-one with what I'm doing. This is my 8 tracks of MIDI sequenced, DAW-less electronic music band in a box. And it's very flexible and it's very simple. So it allows us speed of execution and a real ease of developing ideas quickly and variating and polishing and refining while staying in touch with our feelings. Speaking of which, in episode 3, we need to talk about the importance, the primacy of emotional strategies or feelings work, which will suffuse our music with that human touch from the very beginning and to take it through the process. Electronic music presents us with 1,000 seemingly arbitrary decisions, which have a huge impact in aggregate on the final product. So we're going to learn to get in touch with our own feelings and let those guide you. Let your feelings guide you. Like actually, it's going to feel a little bit like therapy, maybe, but it's synthesizers, so don't worry, it's cool. Yeah. Episode 4 will be about how to use what I call functional sound design to quickly assemble sonic elements and stay focused on the musical trajectory and the musical development using simple shorthand moves that carry over from any synth to another and holistically define their sonic function as well as their musical function to kind of pre-mix so that when we build songs out of multiple elements, they come out just sounding clear and clean as they are without requiring extensive post-processing. If you've been lost spending hours creating patches or hunting for snare drum hits, let's just refresh our approach with an eye towards functionality, getting into and staying in flow state and having lots of fun. And in this way, you'll be very quickly writing and developing music that feels original and fresh and authentic to yourself. Episode 5, delving into Western music theory, will cover the most cursory re-examination of tonal harmony as it applies to electronic, loop-based synthesizer pop music. The big secret here is developing the feelings work sufficient to influence the ambiguous parameters of chords and chord movements, which really becomes the kind of sandbox that we then play in and shape into music with timbre and building and arrangement and melody. The question is, what are we implying here? What does this mean? What are you trying to say? And even for something as basic as the chord movements, I want you to be able to answer that question wholeheartedly. This is what that means. This is why I did that. Why? Why? In episode 6, we'll practice some simple rudiments and develop strategies and habits of shaping memorable melodies. There's some really simple tricks like do a call phrase, do a response phrase. Or do they mirror or do they complement? Do some stepwise motion, but then jump and come back and fill it in. Do a figure down here, repeat it up here, do a third time, but suddenly change it. Little things like that will make really emotionally impactful lines, and those will grow and you can develop them into great ideas. Killer riffs, legendary hooks. We can use an intellectual framework of direction, intensity, and expectation to evaluate our thinking. Direction, where are we moving within the scale and where we're trying to land in the harmony? Expectation is, does this just seem obvious? If we hear something, does it come back? Or are we constantly subverting the expectation with surprises and kind of delights? And intensity is like, how hot does this need to come in? We all think of a raging guitar solo that's the highest note and just like super distorted and loud, but sometimes tiny little drops of sound sprinkling out a melody is way more effective. So each of those three can lend their qualities to shaping a good melody and context to the music that you're making. Which leads me to Episode 7, the arc of arrangements. This is a sort of feedback process where we build up layers into parts and start creating musical movements and see how one idea can flow to the next and to the next. And we'll go back and revisit some of the harmony and refine the melodies and maybe totally change the sound design once we find out where we need to go with something. I'll share some advanced tricks from the Future Baroque bag, such as serial flow, layer caking, sonic substitution, pointillist progressions. We always have to ride this line between novelty and boredom, and somewhere in the middle is the sense of inevitability, where everything is just right. So we could take a simple idea and explode it into being more complex, or we could take a complicated idea and chop out all the notes that aren't necessary. We're building a vehicle that we want someone to ride in, and it should feel like you need to take the whole journey to see where it's going, and that it's one journey. It's not a series of disconnected ideas that come at you. Which leads me to Episode 8, words, poetry, lyrical expression. This could have come earlier in the process, as it's really where the emotional rubber meets the sonic road, where we define a vision very clearly and discreetly, hopefully something we've never even thought of before. You'll be amazed at what can come out of you if you follow this process truthfully. It's a skill at eliciting these emotions from yourself, of following this fragile little nuance of something down the rabbit holes and draw them gently out and carefully. And we use some rhyming or some phrasing schemes. I like mantric repetition, and I like singing things as I'm thinking them and writing and singing kind of back and forth, pursuing the sense of inevitability. I find I could write 8 versions of a line of a lyric, and as soon as I sing the right one, that's just it. It's done. It's great. What do you mean? That's the song. And will affect a clear transmission to the outside world. Whatever it is you're feeling, whatever it is you're saying, people will hear you and they will feel you. And that's what we're going for. 9, the means to ends, beginnings, transitions. Now, we could and probably should not spend hours designing the perfect filter sweepy or bleep and bloop that kind of decorates an empty spot or gives more impact to a drop. But these little intermittent sounds, these sonic fruit flies, have a surprisingly gigantic impact on the sort of impression, the wide macro view of a piece of music, and really adds to the recognizability, to the resolution of your personal sound. We should also take the opportunity to hone our human performance skills so that as we're playing these live arrangements of these songs, we'll be like, okay, filter, down, bass, on, play the note, special sound, drums on. So there is some more technical gear wrangling than you would think, especially in a live kind of remix context, which is what I'm doing. So we might as well figure out how to do that, because visually it can make for more exciting and impressive performances than just I press play on my sequencer and I stand here waiting for my turn to sing. In episode 10, we'll go cover to cover, and we can learn from the best. Don't just take my word for it. I'm going to do a series of videos where I will reverse engineer and then reconstruct top 40 pop hits using just my 8 tracks of MIDI, some basic effects, and synced looping if we need other sounds. Now, we can interpret and evaluate the qualities of these songs separately using the 8 categories that I've laid out. I'm confident that I'll be able to show you that these songs, which are written by industry-leading, well-paid, top-level songwriters, teams of songwriters, will demonstrate the qualities that I'm advocating for: thematic tightness, technical transparency, and emotional clarity in the writing. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot of stuff. I always learn new tricks and tools when I break down other people's music this way. So have fun, make sounds. See you later.